Hi, welcome back to FutureFast. And once again, we have Hilda with us. And those of you who are here for the first time, I would like you to go back and look up the previous conversation we have had with Hilda so that you get a sense of where she comes from. So we don't want to indulge in a big introduction, but she's doing some amazing work in learning and development space. But you have to go back and listen to the conversation to get to know her journey so far. And in this conversation, Hilda, thank you so much for joining us. And I wanted to start with asking what is the new thing that's happening in the learning and development space, apart from, of course, I think one big thing is that most of it has moved to online post COVID.
Mhm.
But what, in your perspective, is happening here?
Yeah, I think what is happening here is that we switch to a blended approach. So people don't want or in classroom or online, but they want all of that combined. And when when we're talking to our customers, they really want a blended approach. So for instance, that could mean that before a training starts, we will have a questionnaire already sent to the people and they come back to us, or we send them a little movie or a text or even a something like that, something to get them excited already or to get them enthusiastic about the content so that they know also what will be going on, so they can talk about their expectations, for instance, in the questionnaire and so on. So that's already like online stuff, you might say, but then it's just sent through an email or whatever. And then very often we go to e-learning. So e-learning is then the part where they have to go through modules online at their own pace. They have to watch some movies, do some little quizzes and stuff like that. And after that is all done, then they come to a virtual class or they come to a in-person classroom. And there we do the teaching half a day, 1 day, 2 days, depending on the program. And then after that, there are then now also very easy follow-up possibilities. You can do another e-learning, for instance, like a reminder or a refresher. You can do online one-on-one conversations, which I do a lot. So I teach, for instance, for 2 days, and then afterwards I give them my online calendar and they take contact with me. They contact me and I do 1 hour, half an hour sessions with them where I follow up on the things that they learned during that class. So we just do it virtually. We don't have to see each other. We just do it like in a Zoom call like this or a Teams call. So we have the thing is really the combination. That's what most people want right now.
Right. But tell me something, what are the most important aspects from a team leader or organization's point of view in planning skill development or their learning program design for their employees?
Mhm.
So
What
from
we
your perspective, coming from this end, right? You are on the facilitating and training side,
Mhm.
but how do you think they should be approaching it?
You mean approaching the new way of working, or what do you
No,
mean?
see, if I run my company, if I have to send my team, my people for some kind of a training program,
Mhm.
how do I plan? How do I prepare them? How do I set certain expectations? It's very easy for me to negotiate with you from a point of pricing. That's the least
Yeah.
aspect, right?
Yeah.
But next thing is that to get a sense of how effective you are, you will probably give some references, and we'll have some conversation, and we will you will also probably give some kind of a scheduled program. This is the best way to do and all that,
Mhm.
right? But do you also give me something which will help me make a decision as, okay, who are the right people for this, or what kind of an expectation do I set from my team's
Mhm.
perspective, from
Yeah.
the organization side,
Yeah.
to send them to any kind of training
Yeah.
or even to engage them.
Yeah. Well, you said price and all of that, but actually that all comes later
Yeah,
on.
they're all later.
The
This is
first
the
thing
most.
that we do is actually we ask tons of questions to the company, and we say like, okay, what is the issue that you're struggling with right now? Why are you asking me to do time management? Is there a problem with the time management of the people? What kind of problem is there? So we go very deep into the training needs analysis, because otherwise I can just take something off my shelf, but that won't work for you. I once
Correct.
had training and they said, please do conflict management. So I came there with my conflict management training. Actually, they put 6 people in front of me, or 8, that were all in conflict. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not a conflict management training. So the training needs analysis was not well done. Or the customer lied, which is possible as well, of course, because they sometimes do. They want you to they want to get you into that room, and then you'll have to deal with it, like just deal with it. Well, it doesn't work like that. So we go very deep in the training needs analysis, because we want to know exactly what is working here, what is the culture here of this organization, why are you asking me to do this? And only then will we come, like, we will brainstorm with the customer together, like what would be best, a training. But maybe before we do a training, we should actually do some facilitation, a work group where we talk about a problem, and only then afterwards we should do a training. So everything is depending on what the customer is talking about, what their situation is.
See, this is something I have noticed, right? A lot of times, see, to be fair, I have not spent time working for other companies. I have, though, very little,
Mhm.
but most of my life I've been an entrepreneur. So whatever interactions I've had, wherever people tend to see in a corporate when they're working, they are required to send their team for training because there is a mandate for them to send them for a training. They
Mhm.
need to clock so many hours into training, right? So that is one, and then they try to fit in. Okay, this many hours I have to put them into training because I have been given this budget. I need to spend it, and it has to be in this. So let's be done with that.
Mhm.
So I really don't understand what are you trying to achieve. But okay, so this is more of a uh, tick off, right? That okay, I have done this.
That's just check the box thing. And
Check the
why
box.
would we put people 2 days in a conference room, which costs money, and you have to bring tea and coffee, and you have to bring I don't know what for food, if afterwards, after these 2 days, they have this many emails in their mailbox? I mean, what's the use of it doing that just to tick the box? So that's why we say let's do something that really has an impact on these people, where afterwards they do change their behavior, although it might be micro changes, but it does have an impact on these people. Otherwise, just stay home and don't
So
do anything.
how easy it is to get across to these customers and say, let's do a need analysis.
Oh,
Because see, this is one scenario. Sorry, before I get take your response, there are other scenarios too. The other scenarios is that even an entrepreneur or a manager tends to like say, I met you, and I would like to give you some business.
mhm,
I don't know if that is what my team requires.
exactly.
I don't care, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So you know what? Why don't you do this training for us?
Yeah, but you shouldn't do that, because this is a one shot. We don't like one shots. I mean, what is the use of it? Now you like me, but next time you won't like me anymore, or whatever, and then it's over already. It's already game over. So we don't do that. We typically say to our customers, if you can't give us information, then we can't really work with you. We have to give. And sometimes there is not much to give. I understand that. Like, we've done a presentation, it was really not so good, so now we would like to have a presentation skills training. Okay, which kind of presentations do you normally give for which kind of customers? Who are the typical people who are giving training? So I am presentation. So I'm going to ask questions, even if they only give me this small of a sentence, like I would like a training in this and that. I never say, okay, here is the training and here's the offer. Never ever. So we can't work like that. That's also why we almost never do off the shelf, you might say. Some people say,
Right.
just something straight, then there's no preparation time and all of that. It doesn't really exist. Well, it does exist, but what's the use of it? And also we really ask people to think up front, and we want to motivate them already up front, because some people say, oh no, I have to go to training to 2 days. I don't really like to do that because of my emails. My inbox will be full after I come back and all of that. So we have to make sure that they're inspired, that they are willing and eager to come to our training. And as an organization, you want your people to be eager to come because you're spending all this money.
So true. Hilda, how are you handling this aspect of see now today most universities, most business schools, management schools, everybody offer some kind of a training, some management development program or leadership development programs, which are all targeted for the very similar audience that your company tried to cater to. So, how do you handle this? Because today, uh, you know, Stanford and Harvard is promoting their programs in India, right?
Mhm.
Because in online you can sign up for a program anywhere.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so obviously, if they're targeting India, they must be targeting Belgium too. So,
Mhm.
how do you handle this kind of a challenge where uh, universities and colleges and uh, these kind of management schools, business schools, all of them trying to cater to the same end
Mhm.
of the day, it's a customer. So they are also competing with
Yeah, it's a different niche, I believe. We're mainly going to the companies themselves, and we're doing in-company training. That's our niche, and we're not
you.
like
So
doing
here,
trainings.
yeah.
You see, open training is where people from very different companies can come to our training. We almost never do that. We have a few a year because one customer, for instance, said, I only have 2 people. I'm not going to organize a training for 2 people. Do you have other customers who would like to put some people in that program? Then maybe we can do a program together. That's when we do it. But normally we don't do open programs. So it's a different niche, or it's a different market that we actually are approaching, therefore. So we
So,
go.
but alternately, don't you see that opens up an opportunity for you to, you know, counter them because they are able to do this. All these universities and colleges are able to do it because they just ride on this online infrastructure. Because
Mhm,
today they can offer the online program.
mhm,
So, given your expertise for decades,
mhm,
what stops you people also to do offer the same thing online, and you could probably tap into their
mhm.
thing of open programs.
Yeah, it's nice that you ask. I am responsible for that idea at Progress. I said, like, we should do this too, and then my colleagues are not very, they're not very much into it. They say, like, look, we have our niche and the strategy is defined, and let's not switch strategies all of a sudden and start doing something else. And but I do believe that there is a big market out there, but we're doing fine with what we're doing too. So it's kind of I don't know what we should do, whether we should
Maybe,
or not.
maybe it is uh, you are thinking more about it because you already saw suddenly hit by a downturn in 2008, which made you change your line of business.
Yeah,
So you don't want to suddenly be pushed to the wall. So you want to expand.
yeah. But I have to say, I have to admit that people, again, don't like online trainings. So they're always much, much happier if they do a face-to-face training. So, or a in-person training. So in that way, you have more happy customers if you go to the in-person training, and you have
But
not.
considering online, what technologies are you using when you do online currently?
Well, we're doing quizzes like with Kahoot or Wood Club. Those are online quizzes that we use. Like I said, the breakout rooms we're using, whiteboards we're using like Padlet or Miro, Mural. Those are the tools that we're using to actually really get people in or keep them involved. The problem with online learning is that your computer is open and you're probably also watching your Outlook, your emails, and you're probably also opening an Excel sheet because you still have to do some calculations. People
So
are doing
how do you see the technology developing tomorrow? Perhaps there may be a feature with Zoom Enterprise, which gives a comes with a lock all
Mhm.
other applications, all business applications. So even if I have whatever my messaging systems and
Mhm.
email and everything else, the moment I log into Zoom, and if it is this account, enterprise particular account, perhaps let's say the feature is that it enables me or you as a host can lock.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that because the other programs on your computer are my biggest enemy, you might say.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So I say that also to the people, like, look, I'm giving you a training, and this is like a present that the company is giving to you. You get all day today to do this training, or half a day. In online, we mainly do half a day. You get now all afternoon to do this training. You should be happy. I mean, most people are happy that they receive this kind of present, because today you can totally like look at yourself, develop yourself. This is a beautiful present. Are you really, really going to spoil that present by doing other things? I hope not. That's what I said. I hope not. And I do with my fingers like that. I hope not. I say, take the present now and concentrate on what we're going to do here, because
So
this is your present for
it's
your
present. It's present. So be in the present.
Yes, yes. That's how I come up also with, please turn your camera on and keep it on. And of course, if you have to go somewhere, if you have a call or whatever, you can turn it off. But please do that. And I even ask people not to put themselves on mute, so that we
Ah,
can have real conversations like we
right.
normally, you interrupt people, you ask something, but if you have to unmute all the time on the button, it doesn't work like that. You cannot have a normal conversation. So I very
No,
often say,
also,
you don't have
very importantly, see, if I keep it on mute, it doesn't stop me from picking up the phone and answering another call because I'm anyway on mute. You won't hear it.
exactly. Yeah. So
Right.
that's why I also ask, you don't have to mute, I say, but people do it a lot. But I say, like, I would like to have normal conversations, like in a classroom type of conversation. Just this happens to be a virtual classroom, but we're still in a classroom. We're all sitting together here in this room. And let's have normal conversations that we would have otherwise as well. So I put some I poke them a little bit, a little spice in there, to make sure that they are with me and they stay with me. And then asking tons of questions, having discussions, those kind of things, in hoping that it would help to get that interaction from the groups, of course. Huh?
All right. See, what has been your routine? Do you have any kind of a ritual, on a daily basis uh, that, like sportsmen follow it, right? I mean, many of us, I mean, even in business, I mean, there's certain daily routines, right? I come to the office, do this first. So, is there some kind of a routine for you before you get onto the training?
Yeah. Yes and no. Small routines, like I make sure that my bottle of water is filled, that I have enough for the day. I make sure that all my stuff is working, because I have three screens. I have my lights. I have a whole setup that everything is working. So I do that like 15 minutes before or 20 minutes before. I also have a desk that can go up, and I make sure that my desk is up instead of down. And then I stand up. So when I start with the people, the screen is already there. I open the Zoom, the screen is there with the slides on it. So everything is nicely there, or I try at least to do that when possible. And my desk is up, so I'm standing up. I'm almost never ever sitting down. I'm almost always standing up, and that gives it also,
Even
yeah,
online training, you're always standing up.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
standing up. It gives me more the idea that I'm really doing a training, because when you sit down, you tend to hang, like now, you tend to hang more with your shoulders. And when you
correct.
stand up, it's a better position, it's a better posture. And it also helps in that
Just curious, are you sitting or standing now?
I am actually now half and half, you might say. I'm hanging on a on a high chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So, because it's anyway, even if you're sitting, it's not reduced to your the energy level. You're pretty much on it. So,
Yeah, that's who I am. You can't stop it.
so uh, tell me, who, according to you, is really impacting in the L&D space, training and L&D from anywhere? I mean, the kind of people you're looking up to or following. Who are those?
Mhm.
Who you think are really impacting in this space?
Yeah, I think that the last years it has been Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek is
Hmm.
quite popular, and he has been on LinkedIn and on TED Talks and on YouTube. I mean, you can't go a day without seeing him on LinkedIn, for instance. And
Oh,
he's
I for one thought you will recommend his book.
yeah, yes, yes. Well, I don't like his book,
Oh,
to
you
be honest.
don't?
No, but I like his TED Talk much more than his book. His book is really like Kim.
His books. He's written few books.
I know, but no, his
You don't
books are
like it?
no.
Oh, okay.
I like him. I like listening to him. He's very inspiring, very enthusiastic also. And that's
Right.
how I like to see people. He has HDD, probably like me. So he's like really a very enthusiastic person, very motivated person. And I love listening to him and looking at him as well. But I'm not very keen on his books. I find them rather boring, to be honest. So I'm more
Oh, no,
like
sure.
people person, huh? So which means that looking at people and listening to people for me is so much more enjoyable than reading something.
Oh, yeah. I like some of the things, and I don't like some of the things he says also. So,
Absolutely, me too. There's things that I say like, why are you doing this now?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think some of the things about his opinion, phones and youngsters doing, I think I found it to be a little too
What?
uh, old school, right? I mean, see, these youngsters' starting point is way different from ours.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
that anyway, so we don't have to discuss him, but
Yeah.
yes.
He's
So,
very influential. And so with his golden circle and start with why, I mean, it was a damn good
but
TED
I
talk.
really liked Start With Why. I thought it was brilliant. I, in fact, recommend it to every entrepreneur.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's been an eye opener for so many people. When I talk about it, so many people still don't know him. And I said, like, yeah, you should start with the basics. That's Simon Sinek. Those are the basics of leadership for me. Even if you don't agree, and I again, I also don't agree with everything. Then another person that I have been following for quite a while, and her books and her website are very interesting, and you can have free trainings from her as well on her website is Nancy Duarte. And Nancy Duarte has a company called Duarte, like her name. She's an American lady, and it's all about storytelling. And that has
Okay.
influenced me a lot because the way she does things, the way she sells her ideas are really, really very different from anybody else. She's, of course, basing her ideas on what the Apple guy did, what
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. You see, my brain is sometimes not with us. What Steve Jobs did, like how he presented everything, like a big room with only one slide, or on the slide, I mean, only one word or only a few words,
One
and it,
image. Yeah.
yeah, all of that. So she went on, and she watched so many other famous people, you might say, and that's what she's trying to sell then in her company. But it's very, very good what she does. It's very good. It's also visual storytelling that she does. Like she's talking also to a lot of my customers because she says like engineers or numbers people, like accountants or finance people, they come up with these big Excel sheets on screen and they say number this and number that. Nobody's listening. Nobody understands it. Like you can do this in a very, very different way. And I got really fascinated by all of that. And I'm doing a lot of storytelling and presentation skills trainings myself. And I am very much a fan of Nancy Duarte. Yeah. And then maybe one other lady again, that is interesting is Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy is a professor also, like a lot of these other people. And she's all about nonverbal communication and how you can, with your nonverbal communication, actually have impact on people. So it's all linked to that presentation skills, having impact, trying to sell your ideas, being enthusiastic. All of that is all connected.
So it's about body language
Yeah.
and also what color of clothing and
Yeah, she's not talking about it's really like how you stand and how you use your hands
okay,
and how you look
okay,
at people. And like she's well known for the power pose. She says that if you
okay.
do this like that with your hands,
Yeah, like this. Yeah,
that you full actually your brain says, and that you will feel so much more powerful if you do the power pose just for a few seconds. Your brain thinks that you are in charge again, and then if you are in a difficult situation somewhere, people are asking you difficult questions, for instance, just do this for a little bit, and then you will get back and
get the
fight.
control back. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what
Okay.
and she has a book called Presence that is that where she talks about that. But again, you can see her on YouTube. I actually don't there's no podcast with her, but she is in a lot of podcasts. So I very often just Google her or in my podcast in Spotify, I just type her name and then I see that she's been to many other podcasts and I listen to the podcasts where she goes to or on
Wonderful.
YouTube.
If you listen to podcasts on Spotify, we are also on Spotify.
Yeah. I know that's
So you should.
I have you. That's where I have you. Yeah. And then maybe
So
one, yeah,
one more.
sorry. But one more, if you're okay with that. It's Reinventing Organizations from a Belgian guy. That's why I would like to mention him, Frédéric Laloux. And that book has also changed the way I look at organizations, the way I look at companies. It's about reinventing organizations, as the title says. It's about how organizations can actually give the responsibility more to the employees, meaning
Mhm.
not that the bosses don't want to work anymore. That's not the idea, but like people who are working in companies have brilliant ideas. They know how things are done. Why are we taking away their power, and why are we all putting the power at manager levels?
Right, right.
People actually do know sometimes best, or
But
they
that's written in English.
yes, it's in English. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
just a funny thought before I go to the next question. You know, all the people you are recommending, all the podcasts you are talking about that you follow,
Mhm.
everything is in English,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you are in a region where English is a second language, right?
Official.
At least France
Yeah.
is primarily French, Germany is German,
Mhm.
and so uh, what do you think is happening? I mean, language, right? I mean, do you think English will be the only spoken language in 100 years from now?
Nah, no, for sure not. Your languages in your country will be probably the most important one, and Mandarin and stuff. No, I don't believe that. But I do know that if you are talking leadership, you have to know English. I mean, a lot of the information about leadership and communication skills are in English. They just don't exist in German or French, or not to that extent.
Well, I had read a report some time ago that I think it was from MIT or somewhere, where 100 years from now there'll only be three languages.
Mhm.
The report said one was obviously the English, and second one and third I don't remember. I think it was Spanish and Chinese Mandarin.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or Urdu.
right? No, incidentally, see, Urdu is more a spoken dialect, not a written script.
Mhm.
Uh, it is written as well, but it is much smaller population. And for you to understand, see, India currently has more than 250 languages,
I
more
know.
than 2,000 dialects.
Mhm.
In fact, I come from a very small place where we have our own language,
Mhm.
and our the community that I belong to is less than 1.5 lakh, which is about less than 150,000 people in the whole world.
Wow.
So,
Mhm.
and we have a language, and uh, 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 some of us keep talking about that 100 years from now, there won't be anybody in this community left off to talk about. Forget the
Mhm.
language. Even the community, no, there won't be people also to
Mhm.
say. So,
Mhm.
so that is one small part, right? It's cool. And then I'm part of a state. Bangalore is in Karnataka. We have a separate language, which is Kannada, which is spoken today by almost 65 to 70 million people, right?
Yeah.
It's big,
Mhm.
but still, there's a strong possibility because like you said, right? Every business case today, even government is talking about people should be able to speak more language, and we have our own thing. Hindi is spoken across much larger
Yeah. Sure.
population in India, and also spoken in Delhi. Delhi is the capital of India, so invariably Hindi is becoming enforced across the country. So there is one for the local languages. You have one local level set of Hindi, and then English.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was
Yeah.
just curious whether do you also see there is any kind of threat of this sort for languages?
Yeah.
You
Well, we
don't
do
think so?
in French. There are podcasts in French about this, and there are programs in French and books and stuff like that. But it's of course a very small market because you have to know French is only spoken in France and in French-speaking Canada, and that's about
So
it.
it
It,
all comes down to market. It all
yeah,
comes down to market,
of
and the
course.
market means money,
Yeah,
economy, economics. So,
yeah,
so any language survival depends on its economic viability.
yeah, yeah. Maybe unfortunately, but yes,
So, in
yes.
that respect, most European languages or most Indian languages also, if we don't keep up with the economically viable,
Mhm.
then language
Mhm.
dies,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, or it will be used locally, but not in an international context. You
No,
cannot
even
use.
for locally, it's so
Mhm.
often it changes, right? We live in a city where, see, I'm from the small, my origins go to that small town,
Mhm.
right? Uh, so no longer live there. I live in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So in my immediate neighborhood and the community, we actually speak English because Bangalore is very, you
International.
have half, I mean, people from not just across India, even across the globe live in Bangalore. So,
Mhm.
so it's become English. So
Mhm.
my children speak to me in English,
Yeah. Hmm.
and we try to talk back in our language so that at least
Yeah.
it stays. But I
But
don't
the
know.
same in my house. I mean, my husband is American. My children are Flemish from my first husband, but I speak half of the time English to them. So we're also like going towards English. A lot of my friends they go to Amsterdam on a regular basis. It's close by. It's 2 hours from here, Amsterdam. It seems that if you I haven't been there for a while. It seems that if you go to a restaurant or a bar in Amsterdam, you're gonna have a coffee. Everybody only speaks English. There's no Dutch spoken anymore in restaurants or bars in Amsterdam. I mean, then that means that the language is going away, huh? Definitely going away.
Yeah, well, I got a little distracted with the language. We'll just come back to
That's okay.
so.
Yeah.
Uh, so, how do you how do you see these people who are impacting the future of learning and development, right? How do you see, uh, and also we talked about earlier the universities and campuses. So now all this coming in, right? You have this celebrity. trainers, right? I think they also offer these trainings, each of these people, and they offer online programs as well. And you said one of them, she offers free programs.
Yes, and
How
that's a
does
good.
she make money? Or it's like
It's only
sample
a
for free and then
yeah.
paid? Yeah, a premium model, as they call it.
Yes.
So with all these celebrity trainers and universities, so how do you see this whole learning and development
Mm-hmm.
thing evolve for you? Uh, uh, and technology every day that is making it more possible for doing things remotely. And you said that your partners, you are in a niche space, you should not think otherwise. So how do you see this evolve for you?
Yeah, I feel like we should do something which is technology based, and a lot of companies are offering us models, or I should say tools to integrate, and we do already do that, to integrate actually technology into in-person training. For
So what
instance,
kind of tools? Yeah.
like for instance, we're in contact with a company in Paris, and they developed a tool, and that when you do, for instance, training on sales training, let's just say sales training as an easy example, like if you are selling something, you should ask a lot of questions to your customer. Like I was saying, training needs analysis, you ask a lot of questions. Well, with artificial intelligence, they actually capture your voice, they capture what the exercise, the simulation, the role play that you're doing with somebody, and then several people are doing it at the same time. They're all capturing all these conversations, and artificial intelligence is giving to the trainer a dashboard of these conversations, and will tell, this person only asked 2 questions, this person did not listen actively enough, this person did this and this and that. So as a trainer, you have all these people talking, doing these simulations, and you're just sitting in front
So
of your screen.
that's helping you to do an assessment of your trainees,
Yeah,
real time.
yeah, absolutely. Which is a little bit
Interesting.
crazy,
Very
and
interesting.
no, it's crazy and a little bit scary as well. So it
How
understands
how does that tool work? Is it that gets integrated into the Zoom thing while it's
also,
simultaneous? Ah,
also,
okay,
also,
okay,
but
very
also
interesting.
live sessions. It works with microphones, live sessions, and
Okay,
it records everything that is being said in those mini groups.
so
And
on your screen a dashboard comes which shows.
yeah,
So maybe a green bar
green and
going up is they're listening more, or red going down is they're not listening. Wow,
exactly something like that. Yes,
wow,
a little bit scary,
amazing.
isn't it?
Why scary? I think it's fantastic, right? It's going to make your job much easier, more effective, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
to think of it back in school, if these kind of tools were there, there was no way we would have not understood some concepts well enough.
But most of our customers say like, no, 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 we're not going to do it. And of course, they have to pay extra for this tool because, well, we don't get it for free either. We have to pay for this tool too. So most customers are saying like, no, 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 we don't want this yet. But I'm sure that in a few years, we will have to do this with our customers will want this. Yes, they
Do
will
you
want
do
it.
you do you want to name that company whose product is it? Because I've
Yeah,
never heard about it
I
before.
have to name, I will look it
Oh,
up,
you'll
and
send it to me. Okay,
yeah.
that's very interesting. Okay, tell me how do you see? I think VR tools and AR tools are also one of the earliest to
Mhm.
start being utilized for training, right?
Yeah, we use VR already a little bit.
Okay,
I know it's used a lot in technical trainings. Like if you have
correct, correct.
a pipe welder or whatever, you can do it all with VR. But we use it now a little bit, although not very well developed yet because the customers don't want it yet. But we have developed some actually games, you might say. And
Mhm.
while people are playing the games, the trainer is observing their behavior, and also with the dashboard and everything. And
Mhm.
by observing the people, you can give very interesting feedback to the people afterwards about how they behaved in a certain game. So we do that already, but to a very low scale. Like I said, most
You
customers are
mean
not.
you use gamification to do the training?
Yeah. So
So
in VR,
basically,
VR, but
oh,
also
with
other
VR.
But
Okay.
VR, so they have their
Right.
3.
What about without VR? You don't use gamification? You don't get them to give them,
Yeah, we
you
do.
know?
We do quite a bit of gamification in our trainings as well. So especially in the virtual one, like I said, we use WooClap, Kahoot, Mentimeter. Those are all online tools that you can use to actually ask questions to people, like word clouds, quizzes. They have to come up with all kind of things, put stuff together, and they can do that in small groups or individually on their smartphones. It comes with a QR code. People scan the QR code, and they are going to do that on their phones.
Oh,
Okay.
one of the startups I had met in one of the places where I was mentoring them. I work as mentor for some startup ecosystem. So one of the startups, they are building a platform for trainers,
Mhm.
right, where you can build games on that platform.
Interesting. Yeah.
So currently they build games for trainers.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
make games for trainers, but now they're building like Canva, right? You use Canva to make a presentation or a video, whatever. So on the similar lines, you can make a game.
Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. We have made our
So
own Genially game also. Like
okay,
yeah, you can do so in Genially. I don't know whether you know the app Genially.
I
In
don't know.
Genially, you can make they're giving you standard games and that you can start to put your own content in there. We've already made one for a customer where newcomers had to like understand the company better and their procedures better, and we did it in a gamification way with Genially with a game literally.
Oh, yes, yes, I'm familiar with it. Yeah. So here, I think this is a few levels more than that in terms of you add complexity, you add number of players, so you bring in more complexity to the
Mhm.
uh, uh, to uh, to basically generate reactions,
Uh-huh.
right? And so you want to see how they react, how they behave, how they choose to collaborate or not.
Yeah,
So it's quite interesting.
yeah. In the e-learnings that we have our own platform with e-learnings on it. There is some minor gamification in there as well, where you have to bring blocks to a certain site and bring connect blocks to each other,
Yes,
and
yes.
so it's of course a very low level. And then we developed also a game for Insights Discovery. Insights Discovery is a tool that we use a lot. It's about colors. It's based on Carl Gustav Jung and his preferences, as what he was talking about preferences. And we made a game with a game developer where people have to go in with groups into that game in a moon landing station, whatever, and they had to find things that were all linked to these colors of Insights Discovery. So yeah, we do that already more and more, but there is
Uh,
low demand still. There's low demand. Yeah,
mm.
we would love to
What
do
about
more, but our customers don't want it
all right?
yet.
What about metaverse?
Yeah.
In fact, I think that is one area which is
Mhm.
picking up. In fact, in India, some metaverse companies have started, some businesses have started uh, building metaverse, talking about using it for customer training and such. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
how do
Well,
you see it?
yeah, I've read about it. I've never seen it in real life, you might say, or I've never seen it work yet. But I'm going to have a demo, I think, in 2 weeks about something similar to that. But we've never used it yet. Again, as there is very low demand still for now, we're not investing too much money and time in it. But I do believe that for the new generations, because we are now the millennials are becoming the bosses, you might say, or the managers, and then after that there will be the Z or Z generation becoming the bosses.
Mm.
We will need it. I mean, whether we like it or not, whether our customers will like it or not, we will have to integrate all of that, because otherwise we will lose participants, you might say. Participants will want this kind of setting, or yeah, that's what they will want. I'm sure of that.
So, what would you recommend or advise to people who are in the learning and development space to prepare with in order to be relevant
Oh, yeah.
with the kind of future we are getting into?
Sorry, it was blurred all of a sudden. I did
Oh,
not
okay.
hear you.
So, what would you recommend to trainers or businesses uh, to
Oh,
prepare for the kind of future that we are getting into in order to, be relevant?
yeah. For sure that you have to follow up on all these technologies. You cannot just be a trainer and do the classes, you might say, because you will become irrelevant very, very soon, within a few years. So as a we already saw that with some colleagues who really couldn't follow. They said, we don't do online trainings. Well, sorry, then there is no work for you anymore, because you have to be in the game all the time. So we have a department within our organization that actually scans all these new technologies for us. This lady that is working there, or she's heading that department, she goes to all the big shows and she tries to find out the learning and development shows, or she tries to find out what are the new technologies, and we get contacted obviously also by companies that are presenting their newest items or their newest technologies. But we have to do that. We're very much aware, together with that lady and two other people. We have like a work group. Also, we see each other every 2 months, and we follow up on what have we seen, what was interesting, what should we put aside, not for now, but maybe for later. What should we already start inquiring about, asking offers, having demos, and so on and so on. So we're very much on it. You have to be, otherwise it's a lost case. It's a lost
So
case.
that's good to know that you actually have some kind of a FutureFast department in your company which keeps looking at,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful,
Uh-huh.
wonderful. And Hilda, thank you so much for sharing, your perspective and your efforts, your experience, your challenges, and also the kind of things that are coming up, uh, and uh, and and the whole course of this conversation. Thank you so much, and I genuinely believe all the audience and listeners, you come till this for, I'm sure you just didn't want this conversation to get over, but we promise to bring Hilda once again to talk about her perspective on future. So do come back again, and also do share it with all the people you think will enjoy this conversation. And thank you once again. And until we join you, enjoy the ride. And those of you who have missed it, perhaps you already made up your mind to go back and look up our first part of the conversation with Hilda. With that, thank you so much. Enjoy the ride.